Good morning, and we are live. Man, am I excited to be here today. We got some massively awesome election results to talk about. Man, I tell you what, this is just the entire foundation underneath the Republican Party has fractured and shattered and is shaking and quaking. Let's get into it. Let's dive right into it. Good morning. I am excited. I am fired up. I am. This has been a good day. We're supposed to have a guest today. Vikki Goodwin is supposed to be here. She's a congresswoman from down in Travis County. She is a candidate for lieutenant governor here in the state of Texas. But she is a candidate from right now, active candidate. So she is. That means she's on the road. Hopefully, she can get. I'm just telling you, it's spotty when you're traveling. Internet connections are hit or miss. Hopefully, we will get her in here today. If not, we'll have to do it on another day. But we are trying, folks. We are trying. If you haven't been paying attention to what happened, this happened. Yeah, baby. Yeah. Taylor Emmett, candidate for Texas State Senate. And you probably ask yourself, why do you care about a Texas State Senate race? Oh, folks, let me tell you something. The Republicans are watching every election. And this is why I keep telling people your vote matters. It matters more than anything. This is going to directly affect exactly. This is going to. Republicans are shaping what they're going to do from here on out based on what is going on with these local elections. This is what these, we're folks, we're having runoffs, we're having, special elections, we're having mayoral races, they're watching every one of those races. This is how they find out what kind of shit they're in. I mean, this is it. This is how they find out. And it's not looking good. It is not looking good. This is an election that was held in Tarrant County. Tarrant County is a reliably red district. Let's go to the map. This is Tarrant County. Come on, Matt. This is Tarrant County. It is literally encompasses Fort Worth, Texas. Now, Dallas may be blue. Fort Worth is not. Like I say, Trump won this area by 17 points. When you go through the precincts in Senate District 9 and take a look at those specific precincts in Fort Worth, Trump won that by 17 points. This is a very red area. And when you get out into these areas outside of Fort Worth, some of these are sunset towns. I can't tell you what kind of a shift this is, folks. It is a total of a 31 point shift to Democrats. And If you don't think that that has Republicans right now in full freak out, there are meetings going on as you're watching this show. They woke up this morning to those results, and there are meetings going on right now about what the hell to do about Donald Trump. He is now an albatross around their necks. Everything, even his beloved immigration, throw red meat at the bigots, immigration, he is underwater on. He is dragging them down like a rusted old anchor. And they know it and have no clue what to do about it because they've made their entire party about being a cult around Donald Trump. ET, and they think that redistricting will save them. Y'all remember, y'all longtime members of the show, y'all will remember this. Y'all will remember me talking about the redistricting and how they really screwed up because they drew those lines based on what happened in the 2024 election. And we'd already seen then, when they drew that map, we'd already seen enough of a shift then that I was like, they just handed us 5 districts. They don't even know it, but they've just handed us 5. Folks, Texas is going to be, because of their own ineptitude, and I love the fact that y'all bring this up. I love that y'all are always so damn far ahead of everything. ET talking about the map. They drew those districts so tight. They've literally just about guaranteed Texas will go blue in the midterms. I'm tongue-tied. I'm speechless. You folks, I kept telling you, if you'll do it, if you'll do the work, if you'll get involved with the local Democratic Party, if you'll back candidates, if you will turn out to vote, not fall into that trap. We talked about that in the South Carolina election that we just had that was, came down to under 24 votes in a red district. I was like, people, look at this. Never believe that your vote doesn't matter. And boy, howdy, did they turn out in Tarrant County. He won that race by Taylor Emmett won that race by almost 15 points. He's a union leader. He is a union leader. And he was elected in red Fort Worth. Let that sink in, people. That's what's going on right now. The bonnets in Texas are blue, not red. Way to go. Amen. Well said. We're just a few weeks away from the blue bonnets. I'm so excited about that. I'm going to go out and take some pictures in the blue bonnets this year. But that's not believe me, that is not the end of the good news by any means. And when I tell you this is a red district, this is State Senate District 9. This is State Senate District 9. Folks, these areas are not blue areas. They are not. You can look up each one of these little towns and this area. And this is not a typically blue district. You're talking about a shift of 31 points. 31. From Trump plus 17 district to the margins that Taylor Emmett pulled in, I cannot stress enough to you what this means going forward nationally, nationwide, what this means going forward. Mike Daly, good to see you. Morning, y'all. In the words of Lady Lindsay, if we elect Trump, we'll get destroyed and we'll deserve it. Amen, brother. Amen. George Allen, great to see you in this wonderful community. Great to see you, George. Glad that you're always here. I cannot do without you folks, man. You people just keep it going. Y'all keep the lights on. Keep the internet streaming. Too, Kurt. I don't think these voters are saying thank you. No, they are not. And I would like to tell you, I really would. I'd like to tell you that this is all just our turnout. effort. It's not. It is very much Republicans looking at the things that are going on, which is going to lead me to which leads me to the story I've got for you. Y'all need to hang out. What we're going to cover at the end of this show is just jaw dropping, just jaw dropping. DK Walk, man. Hey, thank you, brother. Thank you for joining. Thank you for joining. Glad to see the members here. Mando Laura, no matter what the Phantom Fuhrer says, I love Phantom Fuhrer. I love you people so much. I do Phantom Fuhrer. That is so great. That is, and I heard one the other day that was all freaking awesome too. And I was like, I'm going to use that. I'm going to use that. And I didn't write it down. I'm writing down Phantom Fuhrer. That is fantastic. Says or does. I'll be rooting for all of you from the UK, sending strength to you all. All right. George Allen, that's right. F you, not thank you. Vince, thank you for always being here, man. Thank you. I really appreciate you. 1 second. I've got a little technical issue I've got to take care of. There we go. All right. Rock and Ron, thank you for being here. Sending good vibes to my amazing Texas bros and sis from the Northeast. Thank you. I appreciate it. I really do. I really appreciate you being here. Nico De Smith, that's what I'm going with. Thank you for supporting the show. Miguel Arcentales, thank you for always being here, brother. The best part for me was the spending by the Republicans. Oh, nailed it. Nailed it. 100%. Do y'all realize that this loss, the Republicans spent over $2 million more on that race than we did? I mean, it is just incredible. Incredible. I mean, I can't stress to you enough what this means going forward. It looks like Vicki's been able to make it in, and again, she is on the road. Be patient with her; she is literally on the road joining us, internet will fade in and out as she gets near and away from towers. So we're going to do the best we can. But let's welcome Vikki Goodwin to the show.
Thank you so much, Paul. How are you?
I am wonderful. I see you're out there still working. Folks, let me tell you something. These people have been barnstorming the state. I mean, I can't tell you how many miles. Vikki, you guys have just been. Every time I turn around, you're at another location talking to people, doing the work, putting in the work. I'm so glad you're here.
Yeah, well, thank you. I enjoy traveling around the state, and I have my faithful driver here, my husband. And so all across the state, people are really concerned about what's going on in the world. And I think maybe you were just talking about the big win that we had up in Tarrant County with Taylor Ramette winning that Senate seat. And that's just so exciting. That gives me hope. And it's something that I can talk about as I'm on the trail to let people know that we as Democrats can win elections, and we are going to in 2026. I'm very excited.
Yeah, me too. I mean, just watching these numbers come in election after election after election, seeing the shift. I mean, you've got tons of experience in this, Vikki. You know what this means. I mean, you could tell the people exactly what this means. The momentum when you see numbers shifting 31 points in Tarrant frickin' County. Look at the smile on her face.
Yeah, people didn't expect it. And so that again gives voters some hope to get out to the polls for the primary that's just around the corner. February 17th is the first day for our Democratic primary. So hope that people will get out, and I would love to have your vote. I am in the legislature now. I've had opportunities to see how Governor Abbott and Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick work up close, and they have the wrong agenda for Texas. We need to make sure that we are supporting the people of Texas, and that starts with what in my mind is foundational, and that's our public education system. They have continuously underfunded our public schools, and you can see that by what's happening. Many of our districts are having to close down schools. Many are having to increase classroom sizes. Lots of teachers are leaving the profession. A couple of years ago, there was a study and 75% of teachers were thinking about different careers. And then a year later, they said it was 60%, and they were celebrating that. That's still over half of our teachers looking into moving professions, changing professions. We need to be able to attract the best and brightest to be our teachers in our classrooms. That's how we make our public schools excellent. And that is not what our current governor and lieutenant governor are focused on. Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick would rather put the 10 commandments on the wall than pay our teachers what they ought to be paid. We've got to have change here in the state, and I think people recognize that. We've had 30 years of Republican leadership. Have they solved our healthcare crisis? So many people uninsured in Texas, and Texas having the highest maternal mortality rate. We've got to change that, and we can. Some of these issues aren't that complicated. We know that giving people primary care, making sure they can see a doctor early, take care of their health early on, is less expensive than waiting for them to end up in the emergency room. And the state keeps shirking its share. The state keeps not giving cities and counties what they need, and therefore that's why property taxes keep going up. If the state isn't being a good partner and providing the resources to our local governments, then they have to raise taxes to pay for the emergency room health care that people are going to. And then when you talk about rural areas, they don't always have a hospital in the area, and sometimes have to drive an hour to get to one. And we see that with our total abortion ban, we have had OB-GYN doctors leave this state, retire, and new ones aren't coming here for their residency programs. So when they
we're bleeding.
Yeah,
we're bleeding doctors. We're bleeding professors. We're PhDs. I think we've given up over 10,000 PhDs have moved to Canada and Europe since Trump took office. It's been disgusting. I wanted to ask you about this, Vikki. I really did. This is something, we Texans tend to be very independent people. This is not the kind of things that most Texans really like. But a lot of people have a lot of concerns about the upcoming election. Are we going to have them? And they see Greg Abbott hand over our voter rolls to Donald Trump, who turns around and hands them to Palantir to turn around and attack our voters. I mean, We run our elections. Texas runs Texas's elections. Where are you at on this?
Oh my gosh, what they're trying to do is intimidate people so that they won't come out and vote. But what we saw yesterday in Tarrant County, that's a county that has had some intimidating people at the polls, and yet people showed up because it's so important. They know that this is literally life and death, who is leading our state and who is leading our country. And so they shut down 100 polling locations in Tarrant County before the November election. I'm not sure if they kept those shut down for this January runoff, but they're just doing so many tactics. In Williamson County, on election day, you have to go to your precinct, and they've decreased the number of polling locations there as well. So I encourage people to go vote early. Then you have the opportunity to vote at any of the countywide voting locations. But some of our counties on election day, you will have to go to one specific place. And if you don't go to that place, they'll send you away. So all sorts of tactics are being used. We've made it harder to vote by mail. We haven't made it easier to get registered. People that move here from out of state sometimes think that they can register up until the day of the election, which you cannot. So Texas doesn't make it easy.
Yeah. Hey, I heard you just got a couple heavy hitter endorsements. What's happened on that front?
Yeah, I'm really excited. I just got the endorsement of the San Antonio Express News, and I also got the endorsement of the Tejano Democrats. I've got the endorsement of Texas AFT, the American Federation of Teachers. I've worked closely with all of the teachers in the state, trying to increase our school funding, making sure that we are putting the resources into our schools. I've also worked closely with the Latino and Hispanic community. I was on the Homeland Security and Public Safety Committee for 3 sessions and had an opportunity to go to the border numerous times. When they shut down Shelby Park and Eagle Pass, I went down there. When Abbott put the buoy barrier in the Rio Grande River, I went with some reporters and actually kayaked the river to see the buoy barrier for myself. I saw that it had razor blades in between the buoys. If somebody slipped, and it's easy to walk up to the buoys because the water is pretty shallow where they are, someone could easily walk up to them, think that they're going to lean against one and they're slippery, and then cut themselves on this razor blade that is between the buoys. Anyway, I've just had opportunity.
No, that's really important. I went down there and shot video of that also, so that people could see children, Mexican children. I mean, these are towns right up against the borders, and you have children that swim in the river. Lord knows, I grew up tubing the Guadalupe, and you know what I mean? They do the same thing. And here we are dragging razor wire out where kids play.
Yep.
You know, we are not the same. We are not the same.
Right. I think no matter who you are, you should care about people. And it burns me when people say the illegals. People aren't illegal. And most of them are trying to come here the legal way. They just, the process is incredibly difficult, incredibly expensive, and incredibly lengthy. And we could fix that. It's not impossible to fix. We just don't have the willpower and the leadership that's willing to fix it right now.
Well, there's going to be a lot of people that watch this show on replay. Tens of thousands of people are going to watch this show on replay, and they're going to be like, why do I care about the Lieutenant Governor of Texas? And I need you to back me up on this. The governor of Texas, people, is not the most powerful politician in the state. He is not. It's the lieutenant governor. After the Civil War, the bigots freaked out and they said, we don't want them carpetbaggers coming here running our state. This is why the Texas Constitution takes a dump truck to haul around, because if you want to get a bill passed in the state of Texas, you've got to actually run a constitutional amendment. Our Constitution is a joke in this state. It really is. But the lieutenant governor is the most powerful politician in the state. Miss Goodwin will be controlling the legislative agenda of the state of Texas. And I have to tell you, having somebody with your kind of knowledge, your kind of background, I have met you personally. I know you are a good and decent person. You have forgotten more about moving legislation in the state of Texas than I will learn in my lifetime. This is why it's so important. And the state of Texas is so important to the nation. This is why it's important to get someone like you in that office.
Yes, absolutely. I know a lot of people don't understand how powerful the lieutenant governor is, and a lot of people don't really know what it is the lieutenant governor does. But heading up the Senate is incredibly important. The lieutenant governor decides what bills come to the Senate floor or don't come to the Senate floor, so basically has the ability to set policy. The lieutenant governor sets the agenda, says these are the most important issues that we need to address this session. And the lieutenant governor also sits on the legislative budget board, so has a huge impact on our budget, how our Texas taxpayer dollars are spent. And so that's, to me, the most important thing, because even if you don't pass policy, even if you don't change the laws, how you spend your money makes all the difference in the world in people's lives. We can invest in education, and that includes higher education, trade schools, community colleges, or we can underinvest. And obviously, we need to invest in education, but also infrastructure, water, for example. And that's one of the issues that I talk a lot about on the campaign trail, because it's incredibly important. We're a growing state, and the water demands are only increasing with the data centers that could use a lot of water or could choose to not use as much water. And as we need more water and energy, it requires infrastructure to build that out. How do you deliver the water to the people? Well, who's going to end up paying for that? if these companies keep coming in and needing a lot of energy and water, and we give them incentives to come here, and then they get all these breaks, it's going to become the homeowners that are paying and our ag community. So agriculture obviously relies on having the water they need. Again, down along the border, I went to see the grapefruit producer and heard over and over how they are in desperate need of water for their agriculture down in South Texas and West Texas, all around Texas. But again, we can really bring in experts and figure out how to solve our water problem, or we can rely on the governor and lieutenant governor's cronies who will end up pushing the cost onto us.
Yeah, Texas Ruby Red grapefruit's best in the world, man. And this is the difference. This is what I keep talking about, the difference between Democrats and Republicans. Republicans just take a campaign donation and say, and then somebody shows up from an industry and says, "Oh, by the way, we're going to do this, make it happen." Democrats, they show up and say, "Hey, we want to do this." Democrats don't hate industry. We don't hate business. We actually help industry, help business, help bring in jobs, but we do it like, say, if they want to build a data center, we say, okay, let's do that. To do that, we're going to need electric infrastructure. You're going to need the power infrastructure. You're going to need the water infrastructure. You're going to need the roads. You're going to need that must be in place. We must have at least minimum the funding in place to make that happen, so that when you come in to build your data center, we're not just saying, "Oh, by the way, here's some more shit for your electric bill." Your electric bill is going to go up 30% because nobody ever planned for this. Nobody ever planned for the massive amount of usage. We just let them build it. I mean, that's the difference between Democrats and Republicans.
Right. We know that we've got to plan for these things. And so often I hear people say, why didn't we plan ahead for the roads that we need, for the electricity that we need, for the water that we need? Well, we have that opportunity. But unfortunately, the legislature doesn't spend nearly enough time on that, having discussions, bringing in the experts. We as legislators aren't experts on all the topics, but we can certainly bring in the experts because there are plenty of them in the state of Texas. What new technology is being developed to make sure that we're using less water in the data centers? And also, oftentimes I hear people say, why don't our counties have the ability to determine what is the best placement of the data centers? Well, our counties don't have any land use authority, and that becomes a problem oftentimes. I had an issue in my district out in Bee Cave where a distribution center went up overnight, seemingly just outside the city lines, and the city had an agreement with the landowner. The neighborhood surrounding it thought there was going to be restaurants and cool places to go, commercial like that, but not a distribution center that would have thousands of 18-wheelers coming in and out of their neighborhood on a daily basis. But that's what happens when you don't give any land use authority to your counties.
Well, you saw it down in Travis County when Elon Musk came in to build a super factory, all of the shock that happened in all the communities around that, because the infrastructure was not there. It just was not there. You saw it happen first time. But you know what the Republicans did do, Vikki? I mean, the horror we will never see again. Riley Gaines come in fifth place tie with a transgender athlete. We will not have that in the state of Texas. It will not happen.
Oh, goodness. Yeah.
What's important?
We get diverted way too much in the Texas legislature. And man, we could really stand to spend more time on planning, water planning and energy and all those good things.
Well, Vikki, I am so glad you could be with us. I'm so grateful for your time. Please do me a favor and make government boring again. Please make government, the way it used to be, where nobody knew what was going on and that was okay.
Right. That's right. I will do it. Just for your listeners who may not be as familiar with me, you can learn more at goodwinfortexas.com. And I just encourage everybody to find out about the candidates, get to voting early, February 17th. And thank you for having me on, Texas Paul. Appreciate you.
Today or tomorrow's the deadline, the last day to register before the primaries, correct?
That's right. February 2nd. Tomorrow is the last day to register to vote for the primary.
Let's get it done, people. Let's get it done. We've got some great people on the ballot, people like Vikki Goodwin. We just need do our job. Turn out, show up. We've just showed what happens when we show the hell up. Vikki, thank you for being here. I appreciate you. Out there working your butt off. I mean, you really are. I mean, hats off to you. I've been so impressed with the way you people have been running your campaigns. I mean, just everybody's out there just doing the work, man.
Yep.
I'm so much respect.
Take care. Thank you.
Thank you. All righty then. That was fantastic. I absolutely love Vikki Goodwin. I really do. That was fantastic. ET says AI has huge power needs. Water desalination plants also need huge amounts of power. They want the one. They want the one. We need the other. We are better than them. Yeah. No shit. Amen, brother. Amen. Love it. Love it. Absolutely love it. Chandra Patton, this administration is FUBAR. We've got to fight from the ground up. Amen, Chandra. Amen. Amen. 100%. Amen. Guido Day. Guido D. Day. My deep red Texas District 11 is in play. Trump approved Pfluger now has D's to fight. Let's fucking go. Mother starters. There you go. That's what I'm talking about. Thanks to you and Mrs. for the new cuss word. Oh my God. Gamer Guy, thanks for being here, brother. From the frozen north of Beantown, Oklahoma. Wait a minute. From the frozen north of Beantown. You mean Boston, right? Okay, so the projections look good for 26 and 28 elections, and not to put the cart before the horse, the real question, knowing voters vote to say F you, how do we keep the momentum after 2028 so we don't repeat this mess? Republicans are going to fight us on just about everything we have to do moving forward. We just have to keep the focus on them and what they're trying to do, how they're trying to cripple us moving forward. That's how we do it after 2028. But don't count your chickens. Don't. The reason we had these wins yesterday, and I got another one to show you that's just going to make you, they won't be able to slap the smile off your face. They won't. Folks, you can't count these wins. You just can't count. You can't. We've got to do the work. Every bit of the way, we've got to do the work. That was great news. Liam and his father are back in Minnesota. That is great news. They did. If you don't know, they released little 5-year-old Liam Reyes. They finally turned him loose. Put a damn 5-year-old kid in prison. What is wrong with these people? David Mays, as a retired Texas teacher, I now receive Social Security spousal benefits thanks to the Social Security Fairness Act, which Joe Biden signed into law in his last month as president. David, I am so glad. I am so glad for you, sir. And thank you for being here. Jordan B. Miller, Katie Ledecky was a great women's swimmer because she trained against male swimmers. Riley Gaines could have learned from her. Yeah, no kidding, man. No kidding. George Allen, wow, great interview. Colin Allred, what do you think? Haven't heard anything out of the Allred campaign, so I don't know. Bugman Jolly KK, could the reason MAGA is using for Tulsi Gabbard's presence in Fulton County be because of the bomb threats called in during the 2024 election, many of which allegedly were Russian? Say hi to your cats. Tulsi Gabbard is there. Look, they're going to fail at what they're trying to do here. The director of national intelligence, if you wanted me to just hazard a guess, I would tell you it's this. They're going to try to put a spin on this. They're going to create, they've done nothing but create false narratives, just lie through their teeth. They're in Minnesota over fraud. Well, the minute anybody takes a look at their fraud allegations, they evaporate. They're not real. They're not real. There's some fraud there, but not $19 billion in Somali fraud. You know, I mean, that's bullshit. It just, under the light of day, under scrutiny, those allegations vanish. Same thing's going to happen with this Georgia stuff. They're going to try to claim it was China. It was China. China won the election for Joe Biden. It's going to be some bullshit like that. That's why Tulsi Gabbard is there, the director of national intelligence. They're really going to try to spin some bullshit going into the midterms, going into the 2028 elections. It's not going to work. It's just not. Nothing they've tried to do has worked because they're incompetent and stupid. Tulsi Gabbard, as the director of national intelligence, you know, that's like putting me in charge of NASA. You know, it would just be dumb. It would just be dumb. You know, I mean, it's just, she has no business in the job. So nothing they try to pull off is going to work. Martin, good to see you. Good to see you. Thank you for being here. That's our European friends right there. Martin coming in hot from France. I see the colors, my friend. Weird Idaho liberal, man. I love your picture, man. I do. That makes me chuckle every time. Every time you come up, that makes me chuckle, man. I take one from from MAGA the word libtards, and I am owning it. Slava Ukrainians, Slava libtards. Oh man, I'm telling you. Love it. Martin, I love it, brother. Thank you for being here, man. But yeah, this also happened. I want to introduce you to somebody. This is Christian Menefee. Now, I know you're asking yourself, what do you care about Texas Senate District? Well, I told you it's about the numbers. It's about the shift. This is about control of Congress. And this is about a leader that is hitting Congress that is going to be an amazing leader for decades. Trust me, you are about to find out the name Christian Menefee. He was the Harris County attorney. He just won the election to take over Sylvester Turner's old seat. He will hold it until the midterm elections, in which he'll have to run for re-election again, but he will be running as the incumbent. I am telling you, Christian Menefee is a name you are going to hear for a long time. He is just a strong leader. The lawsuits that he filed on behalf of Harris County, he has no problem taking it straight to the Republicans, whether it be Texas Republicans or national Republicans. He has no problem standing up and fighting, and he is a skilled fighter, and he is now in the United States Congress. Actually, they'll probably wait a year to swear him in because, you know, little Johnson, that's hyperbole, of course. They'll swear him in the next session. But, you know, instead of doing what they always do with the Republicans, which is fly him straight to D.C. and swear him in as fast as possible, so they've got those numbers, they'll delay his swearing in as long as possible. But yeah, he is something else, man. You're going to have to send a thank you down here to Texas. I'm telling you, this is a leader that is going to be on your radar. This is going to be somebody that's AOC caliber. You watch. This guy is sharp. And yes, we just sent him to you. George Allen, sorry, Paul Collins sending out emails fundraising. Mr. Will, hey, Paul, here with you. As always, a nice fresh coat of blue would look great on Texas. Please talk about the FBI rating voting info in Georgia. Man, I'll tell you, I will tell you, I don't have a lot to say about it because, one, it's stupid. Two, it's meaningless. They lost all credibility in the way they did it. For anything that they alleged coming out of it, they had to have credibility. And the fact that they've got Tulsi Gabbard involved in it, and nobody's going to trust the chain of custody of those ballots. Nobody's going to trust what they say. Everybody's expecting them to lie. That's the only thing that everybody's waiting for is what is the lie that's going to come out of this? It's a waste of damn time and a distraction. It really is. We're going to do a show right now. This is what's going on with the new Epstein dump. You've got a lot of really good people. I was talking to Brett Meiselas the other day about this. I just wanted to give him a kudos for the incredible work that the Midas Chess Network has done with the new release of the Epstein documents. Brett was exhausted. He's been going through these documents like crazy. And they're pulling out all the important stuff in it. I haven't really talked about the Epstein dump that much because I'm going to be honest with you. There are people more skilled than me that are going through these documents, and they're going to find the important stuff, and stuff like this has come out. Yeah, where are you? Give me a second. Where's that memo? There's that memo. This is Kevin Warsh. He is Trump's pick to be to replace Jerome Powell as the head of the Federal Reserve, to be the Federal Reserve chairman. This is Kevin Warsh and his wife, June. Just so you know, June is the billionaire heiress to the Estee Lauder fortune. Her father is Ronald Lauder, and yeah, they are very, very wealthy people. Well, Kevin is also in the Epstein files. In this memo where it's coming out of Jeffrey Epstein's camp, talking about party coordination, you've got, they're talking about who's staying where, and it's for their big St. Bart's party where they're going to have the kids. This is the party that Elon Musk was trying to get into, that kind of thing. Well, they've got a list, Roman Abramovich, the Russian oligarch, he's staying on his $100-200 million yacht. They've just got a list of people. When you get down to number 21 on the list, you got Kevin Warsh. Yeah, Kevin Warsh comes out in the Epstein file. This is the kind of thing that is just going to keep coming out and keep coming out and keep coming out. Kevin Warsh is up for a 4-year term. He will be the Fed chairman to 2029. I'm not going to tell you that anything out of this memo says that he did anything wrong other than he was in that social circle, which is wrong enough. But I am going to tell you, it's worth asking the question. It's worth asking the questions. What was your involvement? I mean, we know that Jeffrey Epstein loved to cuddle up to that billionaire class, the Estee Lauder billionaire class. That's what he did. What's the deal, Kevin? Can you explain this? That's why it is so important. And this is why I keep telling you, these Epstein files will be a drip, 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 one right after the other. They just will. This is never going away, ever. George Allen, these elections in Texas are amazing. They are. I'm telling you, I'm very proud. People get pretty disparaging when we talk about Democrats down here in Texas. But this is a big freaking deal. Fenrir, trying to rig an election is what you can't rig. Let me start over. Let me mouth's a little dry. Get a sip of coffee and I'll start over. Fenrir says, trying to rig an election is that you can't rig it when you're as unpopular as Trump. Also, the U.S. never canceled elections, even during wartime. The U.S. military won't tolerate it. They vote too. I am telling you, folks, I am not worried about them canceling the elections. What I am worried about, and I will say it again because it is worth saying, is they will cheat. They cheat every election. And that is what they're doing. You know, they took Texas's voter data and several other Republican states, and they sent that in to the Trump regime, who promptly turned it over to his tech bro friends like Peter Thiel, and they're going to go through it and they're going to challenge your registration. They are. They're going to challenge your registration. They're going to try to catch as many people as possible who have not checked their voter registrations and see if they can't cancel them out. And I've told you, this has become incredibly scientific, folks. You know, people here in Texas are like, well, we don't, you know, they'll never know who I voted for. Oh, no, they know. They know. They've got this down to the city block. You know, how are city blocks voting? They know. They know. So we're going to have to be better. We're going to have to be better. We're going to have to plan to have to stand in line because, like Vikki Goodwin was talking about, they take away polling places. They take away polling places and they make us stand in line forever and a day. They challenge people's voter registrations. They got people that they've got paid oligarch billionaire supported organizations that do nothing but fill out lists of challenges, signature after signature after signature. Something else they do is called caging. You'll get a letter in the mail, a postcard, and you'll take it and you will throw it away because it's political junk mail. Well, because you didn't respond to it, that organization now claims you no longer live at that address, and they will challenge your voter registration. It's called caging. They do it every election. They do. Republicans don't win elections because people love Republicans. They don't. They cheat every way they can. That's what bothers me. That's what makes me afraid. Do I give a shit that Tulsi Gabbard showed up in the back of an 18-wheeler in Fulton County, Georgia? I do not. I really don't, because nothing she does is going to affect anything going forward. Nobody believes a fucking thing they say. Melissa Grubb, Aaron Parnas has been staying up all night doing the Epstein file dump. Good coverage. Yes, a lot of very good, talented people are ripping through these documents, trying to find every single thing that they can. New West Bill, it is so clear. Every person we offer up for government is incredibly intelligent and are beautiful human beings. They can barely muster a fart. Yep, we are not the same. We are not the same. Republicans are gross people. They just are gross people, and they put up horrible candidates. Horrible. Virgo Moon, good morning, Texas Paul. If Trump is pushed out of office, then J.D. Vance takes over. Isn't J.D. worse or just as bad as Trump? We have to be very careful. Yes, that's why you want to know what the plan is? We'll take a pause on the show and we'll talk about this. You want to know what the plan is? It's really simple. Chandra Patton, I regularly check Georgia's, my voter page to make sure everything is up to date. Thank you. Absolutely. That's what you've got to do. Julie Peterson, thanks for being a new member. I really appreciate you being a member. I appreciate you being here. This is the plan. Okay. We're going to have the midterm elections. If you do your job and you elect enough Democrats that we don't have to play footsie with Republicans, we can just run them over. We are going to hold investigation after investigation after investigation. We're going to make it rain subpoenas on the Trump regime. We are going to sue them at every frickin' turn. They are going to go blind on frickin' paperwork, and we're going to set guardrails on the Donald Trump regime. We are. That's number one. Step one. Then we're going to hold those investigations, and Donald Trump isn't going to be able to do jack shit because we're going to be ripping through, like the main story I have for you today. We're going to be ripping through this like crazy. What I'm about to tell you about at the end of the coming up here, it's going to make you sick. It's just going to make you sick. Jeremy Breeden, thank you for being here. The amount of corruption in broad daylight is just going to make you sick. So we're going to tie them up. But here's the thing. Trump's going to die. He is, from old age. He's dying right in front of us. The stress of having to deal with actually being scrutinized and told that he can't have his temper tantrums and he can't grift and he can't just do the things that he did, like we're going to talk about today. That's going to plant the man. He is. He's going to die. He is. And what you're going to have left is couch fucker Gerald Ford. That's what you're going to have left. Couch fucker Gerald Ford. Gerald Ford had no power, no support. Nixon was a cult leader, man. Nixon and Trump are a lot alike. Nixon had massive amounts of support in the party. Nobody liked Gerald Ford, and nobody likes J.D. Vance. Gerald Ford never had the charisma, never had the support. And couch fucker Gerald Ford is definitely not going to be as much of a threat as this greedy, sick bastard we have in office right now. We're not in a hurry to hand things over because they will do smash and grabs. He is not pandering to the tech bros. He is part of the tech bros, and they're going to do some awful shit, and it is going to be a fight. It will be a fight all the way to 2028. It will be a fight. But that is the plan, and that is the best we can do. You got to help me with this pronunciation. Is it Nico Desmond? Is it Nico Desmond? Or is it Nico Smith? I don't know. You need to help me out with the pronunciation on this. I find it disrespectful to mispronounce people's names. So I would love your help on that. Why would you even need to register to vote? Over here in the EU, everyone can vote. Because the Republicans, the oligarchs, the people, that handle the funding. And you know what? If you go back to like the 1940s and 1950s, the oligarchs were behind the Democratic Party. This is why historically this didn't stop. I mean, that's where the money was behind the Democratic Party. Then the Civil Rights Movement came, and we had leaders within the Democratic Party like Lyndon Baines Johnson that signed into legislation the Civil Rights Act and all of the things that the bigots in the party hated, and then they beat feet and all became Republicans. The Dixiecrats all became Republicans. That happened in the 60s and the 70s. You had Democratic icons in the state of Texas that just overnight became Republicans. And that's why you have the Republican Party today, whose core is nothing but bigotry. They do not want a smooth, easy voting process because that means a lot of people vote and then they have to pay attention to what people want. They want to limit who votes, especially on the Republican side, to the stupids that believe they're eating the dogs or eating the cats. All they got to do is throw a little bigotry their way, and they will just la, 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 and ignore everything else. That is the reality here in the United States. Great question, by the way. That's why I love to have such a diverse audience here. That is a great question. But that is why we still have the archaic voter registration process that we do, is for the oligarchs to limit who votes and to provide that extra mechanism that they can challenge your right to vote. Yeah, it goes straight back to that. Jordan B. Miller, we get super majorities. We can pass laws over Trump's vetoes. Amen. Amen. And more than that, When Trump destroys the Republican Party in the midterms, you're going to see rats in the Republican Party jump ship, and they're going to help, and they're going to pass legislation just out of spite. Just out of spite. George Allen, thank you for being here. Just to spite Trump, they're going to do it. North Swiss, preloading the cussing jar for February. Might not need it today, but we will sooner or later. I appreciate you, man. I appreciate you always being here. I really do appreciate you. Y'all crack me up. Y'all really do. Y'all make me smile. Y'all make me smile. Look, y'all remember Jimmy Carter. Let's get on to our main story. Y'all remember Jimmy Carter. I will tell you, the American media, people think that the bias is a modern thing. Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, no. The American media treated Jimmy Carter like shit, like complete shit. They really did. See, when Jimmy Carter was elected, they ran story after story after story about his peanut farm. He was a peanut farmer. That's what he did. He sold seed, some farming supplies, and he had a peanut farm. Lenore Banks, my voter registration is active, but haven't received new registration card. I'm 80 years old and have voted by mail for the past 10 years. I haven't changed address in 40 years. I'm worried they're trying to knock me off the roll somehow. Lenore, that is a very valid worry that you will have to follow up on. I've told the story on the show many times. They changed my address involuntarily, had nothing to do with me. They changed my address to an address I hadn't lived in for over 10 years. They went back 2 addresses, not the last address I lived in. And I updated my address on my ID every time. So they knew what my address was. They knew my current address. That I had voted at this address, and then went to check my voter registration, and it's like, what the hell is this? What the hell is this? You have me listed in an entire other part of the state. I didn't do this. Oh, I don't know. Clerk couldn't explain it. Just suddenly So yes, you have to. If you're not getting your voter registration card, you better double check to make sure they haven't changed your address. Harold Puttinson, thank you for being here. Thank you. The European audience is coming out blazing today. Good to see you. Good to see you. But look, they did things like this. Jimmy Carter had to take his farming operation because they didn't want to be, any bias to be there. They didn't want any bias to be there. They didn't want him pandering to the peanut farmers. So they attacked him about his freaking peanut farm. He took his peanut farm and he put it in a blind trust, which is what you're supposed to do. And I don't mean like Trump claiming he put his shit in a blind trust, but everybody knows he didn't. No, I mean literally a real blind trust. Caused a real rift between him and his brother Billy. You all remember Billy and Billy Beer and all this shit. Well, the press was plenty happy to talk about Billy. They never let that peanut farm shit go, even though he took it and put it into a blind trust. In fact, the New York Times ran headlines like this. They accused him of hiding his finances in a blind trust. No, that's what you demanded he do with his peanut farm. And then instead of saying, oh, good job, Jimmy, thanks for doing the ethical thing. No, they just switched their line of attack to this. Oh, well, the blind trust is secrecy. What is he hiding from you? Yeah, the corporate media has been doing this shit to Democrats for more than half a century. For more than half a century, they have been doing this shit. And there is some misconceptions around. If you ask some people today, they'll tell you, oh, yeah, they made him sell his farm. No, they didn't make him sell his farm. They made him put it in a blind trust. But since he didn't manage it, and the people involved in it with the farm were like his brother Billy, it went to hell in a handbasket while he was president. And by the time he left office, 4 years later, that farming operation was over $1 million in debt. And that's at 1980 debt, folks. That's a lot of freaking money. That is a lot of freaking money to be in debt. So no, he didn't sit there and enrich himself off his office. He didn't make a whole boatload of money. In fact, he lost a whole boatload of money. He ended up having to sell his farm because of this crushing debt. And then he went to work selling books and going on speaking tours and stuff, and paid off all of that debt. But still, for 8 years of the Reagan administration, the corporate media attacked Jimmy Carter and lied about the man. They just lied about the man. Lola Craig, thanks for all you know. Thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Yeah. So I just want you to have some understanding of the difference in the bars that are put out there for Democrats versus Republicans, because we're going to compare what we just talked about with Jimmy Carter having to take his family's farm, put it into a real blind trust where he had no control over it. The farm goes south to the tune of $1 million, and he ends up losing his farm. We're going to compare that to what just happened. Linda Orndorff. I remember the press always tried to make Jimmy Carter out to be stupid. He was graduate level in nuclear physics. Yeah, he was brilliant. Christopher Daly, thank you for being here. I appreciate it. That is the whole thing. You attack somebody on their strengths. That's what they do. That's what the corporate media does for the Republican Party. They always attack someone on their strengths. Perfect example, Kamala Harris. She just was very uplifting. She was very uplifting, very exciting, made people happy. But she had a weird laugh. Weird. She was weird. That's what the corporate media does for the Republican Party. Crafty Ash Gardner, top legislation to put for immediately to truly help all citizens instead of squeeze and fleece us. Money allotted for immigration goes to FEMA and Medicare for all. Fairness doctrine, Citizens United. There is a lot of work. Great suggestion. There's a lot of work to do. Mr. Will, Bill Clinton left office millions in debt, if I remember correctly. Yeah, these people were in tons of debt because they don't do what the Trump regime does. And all right, I want you to put a pin in that. I want you to put a pin in that. I want to introduce you to somebody, and stick with me. This is important. It's central to the story. This guy right here. This guy right here. This is Sheikh Tanoon bin Zayed Al Nahyan. Sheikh Tanoon bin Zayed Al Nahyan. Now say that fast 3 times. This guy, as far as human beings go, is exceptional. His intellect is off the frickin' chart. He's a chess grandmaster. He's second in command of the United Arab Emirates. His brother, Mohammed, actually runs the UAE. He was in charge of their security. He was in charge of their aviation administration. He was in charge of, this guy is really, he's a pilot. He speaks a dozen languages. He is incredibly gifted as a human being. He founded, God, what is it? We'll just call it the Gulf Bank. I don't remember the direct name, but back in the early 90s, he took a bank that had existed in the UAE, recommissioned it. It's now the largest bank in the region. I mean, he's no Donald Trump. He is no Donald Trump. This guy is really, really freaking sharp financially, security, politics, foreign policy, everything. This guy is a formidable leader in the United Arab Emirates. And he is central to this story. And this is why. Potter, Randall counties, Texas, working hard to turn our area blue. Glad to see it, beautiful baby. Glad to see it. Thank you for being here. Thanks for supporting the show. This was an article that was written by Wired. Let me see if I got a date on it. It was back in 2005. But yeah, no, this was an article that was written by Wired in, I believe it was June 2005. But a spy master sheikh, and that's what his nickname is, the spy sheikh. Okay? A spy master sheikh controls a $1.5 trillion fortune. He wants to use it to dominate AI. Tanoon bin Zayed Al Nahyan, the UAE's chess-obsessed, jiu-jitsu-loving intelligence chief, controls vast sums of sovereign wealth. America's AI giants are scrambling for a piece of it. All right, let's put a pin in that. Can you tell me what country on earth has the most advanced AI chips, period? That's a question for you guys. This is an interactive show. Which country on earth has the most advanced AI chips, period? Richard 6502 says it was Reagan who screwed over organized labor and thus the middle class. Because of Reagan, we no longer see the union commercials. Yep, Don Regan, his chief of staff, thought unions were communism. I'm seeing a lot of things, a lot of China, Korea, Taiwan, China, and a couple of people got it right. Yes, America. Yes, the United States of America has the most advanced AI chips in the world. We led all of the research on that. We spent mountains of money developing these chips, and we are head and shoulders above them. And we have protected it. There is legislation on the books limiting who can buy those chips, because if you can buy the chips, get your hands on enough of them, you can reverse engineer them, and then bye advantage. We're done. So this just happened. U.S. greenlights AI chip exports to Gulf tech giants after Saudi Crown Prince's Washington visit. Right. The Saudi Crown Prince comes to visit, and all of a sudden, we're selling chips all over the world, right? Well, wait a minute. You were just saying Sheikh Tanoon bin Zayed, he's from the UAE. What are you talking about Saudi? He wasn't the only one greasing palms. He wasn't. But this happened. This happened. Anatomy of two giant deals. This was done in broad daylight, folks. This was done while we were distracted with invasions in Venezuela, while we were distracted with possible invasions in Greenland, while we were distracted with the Epstein files and everything else. They wouldn't turn over the Epstein files. The Epstein files themselves weren't a distraction. The fact that they wouldn't turn them over, while we were distracted in Minneapolis and ICE was attacking everybody, this is happening. This is happening. Anatomy of two giant deals. The UAE got chips. The Trump team got crypto riches. Yeah. Yeah. This was done in broad daylight. Broad daylight. Shake to noon invests $2 billion in Binance, which in turn rolls his investment over to where Sheikh to noon is now investing $500 million into World Liberty Financial. A deal brokered by Steve Witkoff and David Sachs. David Sachs, you will remember, is part of the PayPal mafia, the South African PayPal mafia that is engaged in the coup to take over our government. Peter Thiel, David Sachs, and Elon Musk are all South African PayPal mafia. So Tanoon dumps $500 million into Trump's crypto company. One second. World Liberty Financial is Trump's crypto grift. Linda Orndorff, the selling of those chips is treason. I am telling you, they have just handed over our entire advantage. All the tax money that went into the universities that helped fund all of this research, just all of it just got handed over, not for the benefit of the United States of America, because Trump got a bribe. Melissa Grubb, and this is why they do it in broad daylight. This is World Liberty Financial, and folks, when I say they did it in broad daylight, they did it in broad daylight. UA firm. I mean, this is TradingView. This is an industry publication. Financial industry publication. UAE firm bought 49% of Trump-linked crypto startup for $500 million. From the Wall Street Journal. Yes, it was in the Wall Street Journal. Yes, it was covered by Bloomberg. Yes, it was covered by everybody but the corporate media that talks to you. How many of you saw that Trump took a $500 million investment from Sheikh Tanoon bin Zayed Al Nahyan? How many of you saw that? And how many of you were told that Sheikh Tanoon bin Zayed Al Nahyan suddenly got access to our top tier AI chips immediately follow? It seems relatively important, especially when you consider this. And this is where I want you to go back and I want you to think about Jimmy Carter and putting his farm into a blind trust and his farm going broke because the corporate media hounded him to death about making sure that the peanut farmers weren't too taken care of. You can't have that conflict of interest. You can't have them peanut farmers getting taken care of. These are the founders of World Liberty Financial. These three ass clowns right here. And not World Liberty Financial, the company that these three ass clowns and this other ass clown I'm about to show you founded, just got straight $500 million in cash from Sheikh Tanoon. And then suddenly, out of the blue, here's the other ass hat. Now, y'all keep hearing the name Steve Witkoff. you've got to understand his son is a co-founder of World Liberty Financial. Zach Witkoff is partnered with those other three asshats, Barron, Don Jr., and Eric, in World Liberty Financial. And Steve Witkoff brokered the deal that allowed Sheikh Tanoon bin Zayed Al Nahyan buy top tier AI chips that we do not just release out onto the world. And they did it in broad daylight. They did it in broad daylight. And then this guy, this guy, Witkoff, is also in the center of the minerals deal in Ukraine. And again, his son is in World Liberty Financial. And oh, by the way, they won't tell us where the funds from the oil they're selling are going. You know, the oil they keep stealing from Venezuela that's being sold overseas and put into, and the funds are being put into overseas accounts. Who wants to wager that Zach Witkoff is involved in that? Who wants to wager that World Liberty Financial is somewhere involved with that? Remember, they keep telling us eventually that money is going to make its way back to the United States, and they're going to set up special treasury accounts. Folks, yes, it is important that we are screaming about ICE. These election results are the direct result of the work you are doing. But what I am doing, people ask me all the time, Paul, I want to do what you do, man. I want to do what you do. I'm like, great, start talking and start reading. Because you're going to have to sit in front of this camera for an hour and a half, and you're going to have to explain things in an easy, coherent way that people can follow and understand and be prepared for. And you're also going to have to lead. See, right now we're talking about immigration, and we're talking about what's going on with ICE, and we're talking about, all of that stuff. What I'm preparing you for, and I'm always keeping you ahead of the curve. You'll notice we'll talk about something here, and then a week later, it'll make the corporate media. Finally get around to the corporate media. You are the smart ones in the room. I'm talking to you about this because in a few weeks, the Trump regime is counting on the fact that you're going to start flipping past those immigration stories. You're going to start flipping past those ICE stories. Because whether we like to admit it or not, whether it's Epstein, whether it's immigration and ICE, and whether it's invading Greenland, or whether it's the insanity that went on in Venezuela, eventually you get fatigue from reading about it, and you don't want to keep reading about it. So what do? I show you this, because there is this story and 100 more just like it that are out in the open grift that even fucking Cletus can understand. Trump family and Witkoff family gets $500 million. Guy that gives $500 million gets to buy AI chips that no one else is allowed to buy. Not hard. And you will be ahead of it. You will be driving these stories so that we never get in that situation where people get fatigued And then Trump can start filling the space with shit, and nobody can keep track of why they hate Trump. We're going to stay on message. We're going to run through the midterms, giving everybody and their brother a legitimate, proven, verifiable reason to look at the Republicans and say, fuck you. So yeah, if you want to do what I do, great. We need more people doing it. But you've got to be able to do this. You've got to be on par with Midas. You've got to be on par with me. You've got to be on par with guys like Aaron Parnes and people that are out there that are banging away on this. I invite you to join this conversation. You do a good job, I'll fucking promote you. I will. I will. You hear me talk about people on the left all the time, but I'm telling you, you've got to do this. You've got to be ahead of the game. You've got to. And you've got to be able to go back and revisit what's happened like this. U.S. and Ukraine signed critical minerals deal after months of tense negotiations, and draw that back to the fact that, oh yeah, in the 12 months since Trump took office, he made more money in 1 year of grifting and stealing and bribes and all of the nasty shit that they're doing. He made more money in 1 year than he had made in his entire lifetime. And he's 80 fucking years old. There is so much corruption to dig into. So people, I understand you being worried about JD Vance. I get that. I understand you being worried about JD Vance. But you do your job and you get Democrats elected. You don't allow those people that think they're really smart. That bothers me so bad. There's so many people out there that think they're just fucking political geniuses. Oh, we're going to make the Democratic Party. How? We're going to shit all over the Democratic Party until they change. I mean, yeah. We do our job. We do our job that you and I are doing here. We blast the Democratic Party into power. We shove them into power. We, in some cases, pick them up, put our hand over their mouth, and drag them into power. You know? Then we get investigations into all of this. We get to fix all of this. And you don't have to worry about JD Vance. You don't have to worry about JD Vance. I mean, literally, JD Vance is going to be a couch fucking Gerald Ford. We got this, man. We got this. All we have to do is the work. And right now, you got Democratic candidates out there working their ass off. I don't know if you noticed, but Vikki Goodwin called in from the road, man, driving down the street, going to the next group of people that she's going to meet and shake hands with and tell them, this is exactly why you need to vote against them and vote for me. Colleen Sarah, please still take a break and refresh with your sweetie. That's going to happen. That's going to happen. I'm telling you, you can't do this, folks. And I don't mean to like sound like a whiny bitch when I say this, but you can't sit and take this in constantly. It weighs on you, man. It does. Even Rachel Maddow takes a couple of vacations a year. I mean, she's brilliant. Because you can't just keep taking it in and taking it in and taking it in. At some point, you just have to turn it off and worry about cruise breakfast. You know, I mean, it's just the way it works, man. And I know a lot of people get very, very upset when I take time off because they think, oh, I'm out here living the high life. No, I am not. I am not. But I need those vacations. I do. Talking about Democrats. my man Hakeem Jeffries. I don't know if y'all caught this. Didn't get much coverage in the news. I don't know if y'all caught this, but my man Hakeem went to Mike Little Johnson and he told him, "You're on your own, fucker. You're on your own." ET, it is less than 40 weeks until the general election. Make sure of your voter registration deadlines. Make sure of your early voting dates. Vote. Yes. Yes. You're going to love this. You're going to love what Hakeem did here. I really am. I am really loving this. Uncle Fatty, the truth is a golden nugget in a pool of dookie. You got to watch out for the oh, come on, dude. Walk, talk, and carry a big fat bat. Like, sub, share, folks. Stay informed. Amen, brother. Amen. Amen. Weirdo Idaho liberal. JD buys couches and returns them all spunky. Y'all are killing me right now, man. Oh, my God. But no, this is what happened. This is what happened. Shutdown expected to last until at least Tuesday, as Jeffrey says Democrats won't help pass the funding bill. What Jeffries did was he told Mike Little Johnson, do your fucking job. You want to be the majority leader? Be the majority leader. Because what I've got right now is you people negotiated this in the last budget negotiation we had so that we would hit this moment right now when people were looking for their tax refunds. You expected to bend me over a barrel. That's what you expected to do. This was going to be a huge shutdown win for you. They are still out there trying to message for a shutdown. They are. They are. They don't know whether to scratch their watch or wind their ass. They don't. Republicans are in a mess right now. Parky Posey, solidarity from Canada, working class, rise up. Well said, sir. Well said. Well said. Robert Walsh, thank you for being here. And to our European friends and our Canadian friends in the audience, I really want to say this again. I am sorry. He's not us. You see from this audience, you see from the way we're voting, he is not us. Yes, we owe you a huge apology for ever allowing this to happen in the last election. And we're sorry for that, but we will fix it. We will fix it. Glenn Kaneko, you're so right about all the corruption. That's why he wanted that position so much. He saw all that money flowing around. Money makes him feel like he's worth something. Too bad he can't take it with him. Yep. Carl, thanks for buying the membership, man. Thank you. Folks, Rena, don't just make plans to vote. Know who and what you're voting for. Amen. But yeah, look, Hakeem Jeffries went to Little Johnson and said, look, you set this shit up on purpose. You really thought you were going to break it off in me. Well, now this is your mess. You've got a third of your caucus that will not vote for this bill. You go do your job. You go hand out the goodies to your caucus. You go make the deals to make this happen. I'm not doing it for you. I'm not making it easy for you. I'm not going to go whip my own caucus to hand you enough votes just so the goddamn people on Blue Sky can talk about this Democrat voted for it, and this Democrat voted for it, and this Democrat voted for it, and Democrats suck. You know, I mean, no, he said, no, screw you. You're on your own, man. You're on your own. You're on your own. And I love it. I absolutely love it. Mr. Knudsen, talking about vacations, move left, elect Democrats, enjoy 4 weeks paid vacation, Medicare for all, and free education, including university. You all deserve it. Now make it happen, America. You do deserve it. You do. Calling Sarah for cruise brunch mimosas. Oh, thank you, man. I appreciate it. It's going to be a while before we do anything, but I appreciate it. I am telling you now, though, folks, I'm getting a vacation in there between when things slow down here before the midterms heat up. My ass is going to be gone. Like, you call me Casper, baby, because I'm going to be a ghost. Whew. And this, they set it up because they knew they were going to do this. They knew the mess they had made of the IRS. They knew it. Every Republican strategist out there knows they intentionally fucked the IRS, and they did it for their Broligarch donors, so that there's no infrastructure there to go deep dives into their corporate books to come after their corporate Broligarch donors that are cheating on their taxes. Well, they've left the IRS a mess, and they knew you were going to be pissed because your returns are going to be delayed. Your returns are going to be delayed, and they wanted so badly to tie that together. Democrats shut down. We talked about it over and over and over again. IRS delays. Hakeem Jeffries said, fuck you. And I'm so proud of him for doing it. I am. It's not going to be a long-term shutdown. I hate shutdowns. I hate people getting hurt. I really do. It's going to add another day to the shutdown. Another day. That's not going to interfere with government employees' paychecks. They will get their back pay. It's not going to interfere with any of that. But the fact that he's making Mike Little Johnson right now is going through his caucus and doing everything that he can, begging, pleading, down on his knees, doing whatever kind of service he has to do to get his caucus to pass this bill, because Donald Trump has figured out he's losing. He's losing on every front, and more chaos just makes it look worse. So Donald Trump wants this to go through. Tiffany Simmons, I'm reminded of the old phrase, when you're up to your ass in alligators, it's hard to believe you started out to drain the swamp. Well said. Wow, that is perfect. I'm going to read that again. Tiffany Simmons, I am reminded of the old phrase, when you're up to your ass in alligators, it's hard to believe you started out to drain the swamp. Man, well said. Well said. Kelly Dack, thousands in Portland, Oregon got pepper sprayed at a very peaceful union protest yesterday. Yes, these are the kind of things. I'm telling you, you're doing it, people. You're doing it. These peaceful protests and that video that you're seeing all over your social media of peaceful protesters being attacked, juxtaposed to Tom Homan saying, leave the protesters alone. And you see that it's completely bullshit, because over here, they ain't leaving them alone. That's the kind of thing we're going to ride into this election. Ride or die, baby. Ride or die. Parky Posey, my family's blue collar union in Windsor, Detroit area. Hearing Taylor Rimmet talk about the working class unions made me so happy. He's a union leader. Folks, we just elected a Democrat union leader in Fort fucking Worth. What? That's right. Mr. Knutson, go after Eland's taxes first. Amen. Amen. And folks, I'm telling you, these candidates are out there busting their ass. They are working hard, man. E.T., meanwhile, the Mad King sues the IRS for billions. That is another one that is so easy for fucking Cletus to understand, because Donald Trump is stupid enough to say, well, I guess I'm going to have to negotiate with myself for how much money I pay myself. Even Cletus understands that. Even Cletus understands that. We have so much ammunition to bring to this fight. Micro Johnson is used to being on his knees, Macbeth. Yeah. Why do you think I said it? Why do you think I said it? Mr. Knudsen, thank you for gifting the membership. Thank you for supporting the show. I am so glad. And I want to take a second just to recognize so many of our people in the audience today are from Europe, not an easy time switch for them. Thank you for being here. I'm truly grateful. Your voices, we here in the United States of America are a somewhat isolated people. We are. We don't travel much overseas as a people. Unlike most of our European friends, you've got a border not that far from you where the person right over the border is speaking a different language, man. I mean, you get that interaction. You get, so much of what we don't get here. So having you here to share, what's going on in your country, what we need to be fighting for here, what works in your country, what doesn't work in your country, that's invaluable, man. That we already have an above average gifted audience. That kind of information is priceless. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being part of our community. MJ Dean, midterms to me is the equivalent of Keanu Reeves disconnecting the bottom of the bus. We still have to figure out how to slow it down with minimum damage. We have a lot of work to do. We have a lot of work to do because let me tell you, I'm not even playing. The math on the United States government doesn't math anymore. It doesn't. We're going to have to make some hard choices, whether you like it or I like it or anybody likes it. In 8 years, the United States government is going to fundamentally change. That's why you got guys, like Peter Thiel. They are mugging the treasury as fast as possible. Elon Musk is taking as many tax dollars as he can because it's running out. It is running out. In about 8 years, we're not going to be able to fund this anymore. And we are going to have to make hard choices to fundamentally transform our government. That massive military that we're going to have to cut it in half. We are. And who do you want making choices going forward? You want the party that always says that you're living the high life on your shitty Medicare and you got to lose some more of that? Do you want the party, the Republican Party, that has been robbing Social Security blind, that tells you, oh, Social Security's got to go? Do you want them making the choices at that time when the math doesn't math anymore? No, I want the Democrats in charge. I want the Democrats making those choices because hell or high water, those choices are coming. You damn well better stay focused on who should be making those choices. That is like a German name, man. It's one of those German compound names, words that are like that long. There's a lot. There's a lot on a Reagan, I'm going to say. That was a rough one, man. There's a lot on a Reagan. Thanks for supporting the show. I really appreciate it. That was an interesting challenge. Let me know if I even got close to getting it right. Cross-eyed guy. Now that one I can read. Leaders do not praise themselves. Leaders do not seek praise from others. Donald Trump is not a leader. Amen. Amen. He's a thief and a rapist. He's an awful, scummy human being. Slap Your Mama just discovered you. Well, I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're here. Welcome to the community. Everybody, welcome Slap Your Mama to the community. Love your spice, by the way. Euro goes next door and gets culture. Here in the USA, we go next door and Uncle Cletus. Oh, God, ain't that the truth? Oh, man, I love going to Mexico, and I love my last visit to Canada. We have some very fortunate neighbors. We just need to spend time with them. And folks, we talked about this in the last show. We talked about Trump's vindictive firing of Booz Allen because his tax, they had something they had to fix. That was a breach. It wasn't just Donald Trump's taxes. It was a bunch of people's taxes that got stolen and leaked. But firing Booz Allen is part of the reason we're having so many delays in this tax season. And that's the difference. I keep saying we're not the same. In a Democratic administration, Booz Allen would have stayed on the fucking job until tax season was over. And then they would have said, okay, look, man, we're going to have to revamp your security protocols or you lose your contracts. Donald Trump's petty. He's like, one of your employees embarrassed me and showed everybody in the world that I don't pay taxes and I've been lying about how much money I have. So you got to lose your contracts right now. No second thought to how that IT support is critical to the IRS being able to do its job in tax season. So yeah, your tax returns are going to be late. Ann Hopland, thank you for being here. Hang in there, America. We love you. And no, you didn't vote for this clown, rooting for y'all in Norway. Norway in the house. That's my people, by the way. That's my people. That's my people. I'm Norwegian, German, and Irish. Norway's my people. I love Canada. I really do. If you know, folks, put it on your bucket list. It's not a real expensive vacation. Put it on your bucket list to go see Niagara Falls. One, it's freaking breathtaking, just beyond breathtaking. And two, go to the Canadian side. You will be shocked at the difference between the way the American side is maintained and the Canadian side is maintained. The level of pride that they put into their country and the people are fantastic. The people you're standing there on the rail with, or you're on the boat with from the Canadian side to go get splashed in the falls, are so damn nice. They're wonderful human beings. They really are. I still tell the story of the Canadian version of the TSA. Me and Mrs. Texas Paul still laugh about this. TSA gets pissed at you, and it's a problem. I mean, it's a problem. This guy with the Canadian TSA was getting a little frustrated because it was a bunch of Americans. We were flying back from Canada through Vancouver Airport, and people weren't listening. They kept telling you, have these documents out, have these documents out. And, they would tell you, have your passport, have your ID, have your documents out. This Canadian guy, face just glowing red. Their security comes watching. Now, come on, people. How many times do we have to tell you? This is as much as he could muster. He was so pissed off. He was literally glowing red. And come on, people. it was the best, man. It was the best. Lord, we're just love this country. Just absolutely. Mr. Texas Paul and I we just love this country. Robert Ferguson, let's start an American citizen lawsuit for $47 trillion against Trump, his family, and his administration, his oligarch friends. Yeah. There's so much we need to do. It's not even funny. Dave Munn, 1957. Well, look, guys, that's what I have for you today. I really appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed the interview with Vikki Goodwin. She is something else. Give her a little support. Look her up on Google. Give her a little support if you can. She's in a hard-fought fight, and I'm telling you, Lieutenant Governor is the most powerful office in the state of Texas. It is. It is. A lot of people think it's the governor. It is not. The governor wants something done. He goes to the lieutenant governor and says, please, can you do this? That's the way it works. On that note, enjoy some Texas cities at night.